So after all those years of doing tax returns for a living and doing financial work, and even in the midst of doing that financial work, because I moved out here and I continued to work to make a living, but my life was really in happening in a different way as well. So this is an image just September 10th. So what this image is, I mean, I find it very beautiful. I suspect you see beauty in it as well. I took many photographs, and this was the one I chose. And this was over 30-year time frame. And then I wrote many poems, and of them I chose three, two of which are prose poems here. But if you look at, I mean, just look at the image. It's so huge. It's so, such a landscape. And yet it was just a moment and then it was gone, right? Because it's a reflection, water stirs up, things change in a reflection, it gets cloudy, the light changes. And then the other thing that I just love about this is about how each element of it tells a story. So if you go to the poetry, and you can do this digitally, you can just zoom in, you'll see that there's a whole story of landscape around the particular poem. And it's quite wonderful in and of itself. And, it brings to mind how we think and how we see at the same time as we're thinking in the world. So, one of the things that I was curious about and wanted to somehow capture, I mean, I've often thought, am I living in a novel? You've probably wondered that too, not if I'm living in a novel, but if you're living in a novel. And if I am, I'm probably on the 900th page of a 1,000-page novel, and it is always the 900th page. But what's wonderful here, I mean, this is huge. It looks like a huge landscape. It could be a novel with all of those elements if you pull out stories from all of those elements. And one of the things that I was exploring more than anything else is what is the nature of a moment, of living in a moment? And is there a way that we can bring those moments inside of ourselves more to life so that we're living, as I say in my latest book, each moment is ours as a domain of freedom. So I'm going to read you these if I may, and just pause for a moment and consider what it is that I've shared. So this first one goes, I walk through crickets along the lane. The sun bakes my head, right side only, between trees intermittently. My eyes meet leaves on the field stones, and all around me, kingdoms in every glance. Along the lawn, beside the pond, a lifetime and a world in every moment. Isn't that, when we really let ourselves be in the moment, isn't that how we experience it? There's a world there in every moment. And here's the second poem. Ripples in the pond are vigorous where the sunlight sparkles, but more reflective where I am in the darker waters. That's the darker waters down here. Reading Transforming Suffering into Wisdom, and that's that book back there, and doing nothing. I've watched morning pass into midday. A baseball cap blocks a few rays of the sun from my cheek. The wind barely moves the leaves of blueberry bushes. Early September. Crickets in the air. Cool, crisp, clear. So what I love about that poem, I mean, there's a series of moments, clearly. I'm just looking to see if I have my baseball cap here. Series of moments, clearly. And yet the overall feel is one of just stillness, just settling into stillness. And of course, that's one of the ways that we manage to make mindfulness work for ourselves, is to find enough stillness that we can actually attempt to meet each moment. And then this final one kind of echoes the other two in a way. So the final one is built on this bit of green reflection up at the top. It's amazing. The only real stuff that you see is down here, and everything else is reflection. Although, of course, it's reflection in what is real as a pond. How much of our life is reflection? Inside, I mock stillness with uncomfortable ripples of my own. Not quite feelings, not quite thoughts, not quite purpose or passion, not quite lethargy or doubt. I sit on the porch, wearing out the fiercer energies of yesterday as I watch the gathering not of today, but the coalescing of just a few shivering moments, one after another, with the anticipation of others to come, coalescing into one final moment of presence, long awaited, restlessly attempted, at last arrived at, and then followed by another and another and another, released at last from my bondage into one moment of freedom after another. All of my books have been about freedom. And this experience, this pursuit of that moment, which was what I was doing. I was sitting there just trying to unwind from probably a big workshop that I'd given, and just settle into moments, and kept watching for at least one that was really real and full of presence. And then it arrived, and then another, and then another, and then another. Moments of freedom. We're meant to live in freedom. And that's why I wrote this book, one day at a time, with photographs and poetry over 30 years. Enjoy. Bye.